Next, the 24th mission, where the lives of 10 men rest in the power of one.
Ground position!
And now, the impossible is about to happen. Next, a special 1-hour episode.
Lakeman Lippers, what was that?
Amazing stories.
Of all your adventures, Mark, up until now, and there's more in your future, give us a moment.
Well,
Humanize Spielberg for us. Give us a moment where you're just like stopped in your tracks and be like, damn, you are actually a human being and not just some miracle working director.
We were shooting an episode of Amazing Stories called The Mission. And it was our first day of shooting. We were shooting on half of stage 28.
The best episode.
Yeah. And even though the criticism of the cartoon wheels, I bought it. I still bought it.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. And so anyway, we were shooting and Stephen had the stage fogged up, first of all, it was London, or England and it was, he didn't want anything in the background. So he had a lot of chemical fog and that stuff, that mineral oil coats your lungs after a while and makes it kind of hard to breathe. So Stephen devised the opening, I think 5 or 6 minutes in one shot, and they rehearsed it a couple times. They shot it, and by mid-morning we were done with that. So Stephen had the stage doors open, and you remember stage 28 was right next to the kind of midway point of the tour where people came in the trams and they got off and went into the special effects stage and learned how blue screen was done, things like that. So Stephen went out and he was leaning against one of the soundstage walls, and a lady on one of the trams looked his direction and jumped off the tram and came running up with a camera. And so Stephen smiled and waited for her to take the picture, and she wouldn't take the picture. And finally, she just kind of was rude and said, "Excuse me, would you please move?" And Stephen said, "Sure." And he stepped aside, and she took a picture of the E.T. poster he was leaning against, and then ran and got back on the tram, and the tram went off. And Stephen just looked at me and shrugged his shoulders, and I shrugged my shoulders, and we went back to work. I mean, that was kind of the moment that I think obviously now he's synonymous with great movies and so recognizable. Back then, he had, of course, I think back then he had long hair, and I don't think he had a beard yet at that point. He started growing it during Color Purple that summer. So, he may have been unrecognizable, but I just thought that was kind of the best example of Stephen not being offended or anything else. I think he was just amused.
Yeah.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.